Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Conversation with the President. This is the third in a series that we've been doing. The last one was in March, and we are here again tonight. This time the topic is the newly revised College of Arts, Education, and Sciences. And we are lucky to have the new dean, Dr. Fassad Pfanstiel, here, and also, of course, Dr. Karen Whitney. And we'll be answering your questions tonight as the evening goes along. I'm David Bailey, president of the Clarion University Alumni Association. I'm happy to again be host for this program and to relay the questions that you are going to be sending to us. Now, if you have questions, we ask you to send them to info@clarion.edu, and we will then have them sent on to us, and I'll find them here on my handy laptop device, and we'll send those along to the panel that we have here this evening. So Dr. Pfanstiel and Dr. Whitney, we are going to have an interesting conversation tonight and some interesting questions, and you have some good information for us about some of the changes that are taking place in Clarion, and that will bring people hopefully up to date on all of the things that are going to happen and are happening across the campus. So at this point, I will turn it over to Dr. Whitney for her opening remarks.
Well, great, David. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us again.
Sure.
And also thank you for your wonderful, or as I like to say, eagle-tastic service as president of the Alumni Association. Alumni weekend that occurred in June, and so appreciative of that wonderful weekend.
It went very well.
And whoever ordered the weather, I need to talk to them because it was wonderful.
It
so
was.
Yeah,
I couldn't have asked for better days and a good time for all.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you.
Shirley.
Also to my right, I'm so pleased to introduce Dr. Todd Pfanstiel. As many of you may know Todd, he's a distinguished history professor here at Clarion. He's been with us for over 16 years. In July 1, he is going to be the first dean of the College of Arts, Education, and Sciences. And he is a distinguished teacher, researcher, and I don't know anyone else. We graduated over 1,000 graduates in 3 ceremonies, both on the Clarion and Venango campuses. It was a wonderful day of celebration and families and generations of Clarion Eagles coming to campus, because in many cases we had graduates who had parents and even grandparents who were Clarion alumni as well. So it was an absolutely wonderful day in mid-May, and couldn't be more proud of our now over 52,000 living alumni of Clarion University. So that was wonderful. At the same time now, it's June, almost July here. We've been busy all summer, and we'll continue through the fall into the end of September, welcoming new students through freshman orientation. And this will be the class of 2018. So the campus doesn't sleep. It's active and abuzz every day with orientations and working with new students and their families in preparation of their first semester at Clarion. Speaking of a buzz, we've got an awful lot of construction occurring at Clarion. I think there's 3 projects I want to either remind you or bring to your attention. Probably the noisiest one right now is the construction of our new campus housing on both sides of Main Street. They're moving an awful lot of dirt right now. They're working 7 days a week starting at 6:30 in the morning. I know this because I can hear them every morning at 6:30 in the morning from the president's residence, and it is just phenomenal how quickly they're preparing the site for what will be new housing. It'll be replacement housing because we will be tearing down Wilkinson and Nair. The new housing is scheduled to open the first part of it, stage 1, for fall 2015. The second part will open January 2016, and then later in 2016 we'll tear down Wilkinson and Nair. But it's really meant to complete a master plan on housing that'll provide suite-style housing on Main Street, and I'm so excited because it's going to allow us also to do quite a bit of work in the area of mixed use. We're going to do a theater on Main Street, bring back a theater, because I understand there used to be 2 theaters, and we're going to move the bookstore, Starbucks, and we're going to have a food outlet, a restaurant of some type there on Main Street. Okay, let me just say in closing on what's also happening, in August we'll be issuing a new website, and that'll launch a wonderful effort that's taken several years, a new brand for Clarion. So both will be launching in early fall, and it's designed to better communicate who we are and how we make a difference to the students and to the community. So I think with that said, we've got an awful lot going on in new academic programs, a new branding and communication campaign, new construction, and obviously this fall, new first-year students. So with all that going on, let me go ahead and stop and move to the ways we are communicating, hopefully things you're already seeing wherever you are, particularly the advertisements we're doing. If you haven't seen them, we're going to share some of our latest advertisements and getting the word out about Clarion. Mostly, if you live in the Pittsburgh market, you might have seen them. We've had newspaper ads, radio, billboards, television, a full range of ways we're communicating at a whole new level. As a university, we've made the greatest commitment ever to marketing, to building our name awareness among potential students. And to be clear, we know that in doing that, it'll be a key element to rebuilding our enrollment here at Clarion University. So I think there's some ads that we want to show. And I think the first thing is it's going to be confident in our commitment to education. These are billboards. There's several around in the Pittsburgh area, around the airport, also on I-80. But you know, we are clearly, our heritage program is education. And we wanted to say it proud and loud that we are committed to education and professional teacher preparation. The other one is being really clear about particularly our Master of Education. We've received, you know, it's an award-winning program, our Master of Education, and we wanted, again, to make it clear that Clarion University delivers in this area. And these are buses in the Pittsburgh market. You'll see them. And we thought particularly sometimes traffic is such that people will get to read the whole billboard while they're waiting in traffic or things like that. So hopefully you've seen those as well. And that's kind of the back of the bus, I believe. So, you know, you're stuck behind a bus, maybe you've seen that. Let us know if you've seen them. We'd love to know where you've seen them. And then these are ads. We've done these in full-page ads in various local and regional newspapers. I think then also we have a commercial out.
Careers that provide the rewards that you can get from helping students to learn. Preparation is essential, and Clarion provides that necessary preparation for future educators. Clarion gave me a very firm and solid foundation in teaching. Colleges are about opportunities. The opportunity to learn and to grow is still there today. Clarion University gave me the courage and confidence to be where I am today.
I think what's really wonderful about the ad is Dr. O'Toole was last year's 2013 commencement speaker. He and his family, he has multiple Clarion University connections and couldn't be more thrilled than to help us tell our story through his outstanding work. So I think at this point, let me go ahead and stop, and I'd like to now ask Dean Pfannestil to talk about the new College of Arts, Education, and Sciences, as well as our new School of Education. Todd.
Thank you. Well, it's very exciting. First of all, thank you again. I'm excited to begin my position as Dean of the College here in just a few days. I'm excited to be here this evening and share some of our thoughts as we move forward. I know there have been a lot of questions, some concerns raised about the restructuring that we went through over the past year. To be honest, it's been very engaging and it's very exciting as we move forward and think about the synergy and energy that we're building with this restructuring effort. As many of you now know, the School of Education, which includes special education, will be housed within our college, which due to certain linkages, due to promotion of programs, is really the most appropriate spot we could possibly have. The old College of Education and Human Services was one which, because of the breadth of disciplines involved, including speech pathology and library science as well as rehabilitative science, had become so specialized within its disciplines that it wasn't necessarily going to be a college unit that we would move forward with that could provide the appropriate attention to all of those disciplines. As a result, through restructuring, you do see rehabilitative sciences and speech pathology and health education, although still physically housed on the Clarion campus, administratively housed through our Venango College and our new and exciting structures with regard to health and health sciences. With regard to education and special education, the most appropriate place as we move forward was certainly combining it with the College of Arts and Sciences. And we're not the first to do this. Other institutions within the Pennsylvania state system have also been exploring closer linkages between education, special education, and our content area disciplines that are traditionally housed in arts and sciences. what you will find is, whether it's early childhood education, mid-level education, or secondary education, that having those content connections with, for example, the social studies professors or perhaps the science professors, that we will actually be building better teacher candidates. We'll be able to develop new programs as we move forward and strengthen our commitment to education. The special education piece is also extremely important. We're finding as we prepare our students to become teachers in public schools or private school settings that having that dual certification in many cases is what gives our students who may have been traditional social studies or traditional science teachers the leg up in a very tight job market to be sure that they are best prepared as more and more young students in kindergarten through 12th grade need what we call individualized instructional plans. They need different assistance because of different learning styles, and we're being sure that we can prepare our students along those lines. So this restructuring, although at times presented challenges, we're now ready to move forward. And as we move forward, again, look about the exciting opportunities we have for new program development, working more closely, crossing those lines between our content area professors within the disciplines and our professional education pedagogical professors within the School of Education and Special Education. Finally, I would just like to point out that one of the questions I've often fielded so far, even though I haven't quite reached that dean level, that'll happen in 6 days, but people question, well, but what happened to the College of Education? Nothing's happened to the College of Education. It was the College of Education and Human Services which represented a vast variety of disciplines. What we've done is we've taken basically a Department of Education and a Department of Special Education. We've maintained that department status. We've elevated them to the level of a school where they will have a director who can pay special attention to their needs and our development, and now within the College of Arts, Education, and Science, develop those programs which will best position our graduates for the jobs throughout the 21st century.
Thank you. We have on my chart some updates on search for director and NCTQ information and so on. So I guess who you want to continue on with that, or we'll just go right through, and then we're still receiving. I see we're receiving some questions, so we'll be going to address those just as soon as we do the important things that are on here.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I would like to offer some insights with regard to the director search, and I know President Wendy would like to share some thoughts as well, I believe. With regard to the director search, as we take the Department of Education and the Department of Special Education and house them within their own school, within the college, it is important that we have strong leadership that I can work with in terms of me as the dean and they as the director, thinking about the future of our programs and what's best for our students. So we will be conducting a national search in this coming academic year so we can identify a permanent director of the School of Education. Obviously, the person that we want to have in that position will be someone who clearly has higher education administration experience, someone who has been in that college or university setting, but equally, if not more important, is somebody who has walked the walk with our public and private schools, who has had a strong and distinguished career, most presumably probably starting as a teacher many years ago in the school system, and can understand what it is that we're preparing our students for as we move ahead. So obviously, in terms of the interest of the university, finding someone who's going to work collegially across multiple units, not just within our college, but with all the colleges, with our leadership, and likewise, somebody who has the experience and the breadth of knowledge that they can bring to this position. Now, I'm excited that as we move ahead, that our current interim dean of the College of Education and Human Services, Mr. Ray Puller, has agreed to continue for the next year as our interim director of the School of Education. Ray is highly respected, mutually respected by our colleagues, not only within the current college, but also across the entire campuses. And as a result, I know Ray personally is someone that we can work together and think about our students, think about our colleagues as we move forward. So the search will be an exciting one, but at the same time, I really wish to thank Ray Puller for still being an integral part of the team as we envision the future of this school, this college, and this university. With regard to NCTQ, I know this is a hot topic here over the past few days. Basically, we have seen press releases with the National Council on Teacher Quality, Teacher Qualifications, issuing their second annual report ranking education programs throughout the country. I know there are always concerns about how Clarion matches up against other institutions, and this is one of many measures that are now currently sort of the flavor of the day as you start to think about which college provides the best opportunity for you as prospective students, for parents of prospective students, and as alumni reflect upon their credentials as well. So before I talk briefly about NCTQ, let me mention that for years now, Clarion University has been accredited, our programs in teacher certification and special education in particular, at the highest, most rigorous levels, not only beginning with Middle States Commission on Higher Education that accredits our entire institution, but also NCATE, not to throw around acronyms, but basically the national accreditation standards, which are quite rigorous. Pennsylvania Department of Education likewise has accredited us as the provider in this region for those teacher certification programs. And then there are many disciplinary accreditations if you're a teacher certification student in English, or teacher certification student in science, or any other discipline. So when you layer all of this together, the fact is we have jumped through many hoops and willingly done so, and we constantly assess ourselves both internally and externally to be sure that we are providing the best quality education for every student who walks through that door. And I'm convinced, having read those reports, having been part of the preparation of some of those reports, that we are doing the best possible job and we are graduating excellent students as we have for a number of decades. Now, with regard to NCTQ, although you can read the report online, I've read it extensively myself, and there's a lot to be said about this report. I think the best thing that will come of it is that we'll continue to ask future questions of ourselves in terms of, are there standards that they are examining that perhaps we should be looking at more closely? But that will be our decision. It will not be the NCTQ's position. Okay? It's not their decision. We look at ourselves and assess ourselves to improve ourselves. That's our decision. And through the standards by which we already accredit, we feel very strong about the quality of our programs. Now, to speak briefly about NCTQ and not to belabor a point, this is a report in which 2,400 different education programs nationwide from over 1,100 public and private institutions were assessed according to their standards. Of those 2,400 programs, 1,600, over 2/3 of them, did not receive any ranking because that company, that group, did not have enough information for them to actually achieve a ranking. Clarion is among that group. Okay? Our ranking is not reported. That is the official word. Other schools whose ranking are not reported, UCLA, Harvard, Columbia Teachers College, University of Wisconsin-Madison. In Pennsylvania, schools whose rankings are not reported, Washington and Jefferson, Villanova, Temple. Of the one attempted ranking that they tried to provide us, it was for a program that doesn't even exist at the institution, elementary education. We have early childhood education, mid-level education. We have secondary education, which covers everything from kindergarten through 12th grade. It's simply a different lens through Pennsylvania Department of Education to look at this. So just to point out some of the problems, some of the issues with regard to NCTQ, I encourage any of our watchers, any of our listeners, to ask those tough questions so that we can once again show you that, yes, we are following the most rigorous standards that we possibly can, and we graduate excellent students as a result. And to not get hung up on a second-year report which truly only had syllabi to rely upon in order to offer their rankings, and as a result did not even rank Clarion University, nor did they rank 1,600 other public and private institutions that they attempted to do so. President Whitney, I'm not sure if you'd like to add to that.
No, I think you outlined it pretty well. To me, we've, as a professional school, have done on our own rigorous ways of knowing how we matter and knowing that we do offer quality experience for our our ed majors and our teacher candidates. And the proof is in, again, people like Dr. Pat O'Toole, who is featured in our commercial, who has been recognized statewide as an outstanding superintendent. Mm-hmm. And we have 20,000 alumni who work in education right now. This matters greatly. We have a proud heritage and tradition in professional teacher preparation, and we hold those things to be very important. In fact, one of the things that we did do right after commencement, myself and our provost, Dr. Nowacek, and the interim director of the School of Education, Ray Puller, and a whole group of faculty, we went out on the road, and we called ourselves the Road Scholars. That's R-O-A-D, Road Scholars, and we went and met with superintendents, assistant superintendents, district human resource folks, teachers, principals, guidance counselors in 3 counties, in Allegheny County, Butler County, and Clarion County. And we asked one simple question. We asked, tell us what a quality teacher looks like. Because at Clarion, we graduate quality teachers. And we want to hear directly from you. So for 3 days, we had dialogue after dialogue after dialogue. And it was so rich in terms of clearly understanding what educators and K-12 leaders need from teachers, that it's immediately helped cascade the new school into a whole dialogue that has started this summer and will continue under your leadership this fall in terms of reviewing and continuing to be extraordinarily relevant in our degrees, credentials, and endorsements that we offer here at Clarion through the School of Education. Because, you know, obviously, I want every one of our students to have a job that they love. More importantly, when you're a teacher, I want you to be a quality teacher, an exceptional teacher that matters to children and their families, and that we've had a hand in that preparation. And I'm confident in the 3 days I spent on the ground with so many districts that we are on the right track, and we are extremely clear on where we're going forward.
If I actually could add just one last point.
Oh, certainly, sure.
And this was actually, it was my pleasure to receive this, and it really speaks to 2 points. Among our most recent of the 52,000 alumni that we've graduated, somebody who graduated just this past May, and I've shared this with the president, with others at the university. If you want to ask for a testament to the quality of the education that is provided here at our institution, speak to the recent alums in education who have gotten jobs within the education field and what they think about the quality of a Clarion education. And this student, I know, will be reaching out to her for more details later on, but just to provide a very quick story, she graduated from Clarion University on May 10th, so this past May, and this is a note directly from her. I received it yesterday. She received a bachelor's degree in education with library and media as her specialty. It's a degree that she says allows her to be a librarian in school districts for kindergarten through 12th grade. Before graduation, I attended a job fair in Monroeville where over 200 school districts were present. I handed out 20 applications and had 10 interviews that day. I also attended the job fair organized at Clarion University by our College of Education. By the first weekend in June, I had 3 job offers. I could not believe it. In fact, my first job offer came before I even graduated, and I decided to take a position at a school. She's going to be down in Virginia. There she will be focused on grades kindergarten through 5, being a librarian for a curriculum guided by art, music, and dance. The day after she signed that contract, she says, I received another job offer. And now 2 weeks later, another job offer has come my way. I've been blessed by the education I was given at Clarion University and the opportunities that have been presented to me. Without the knowledge of the job fairs and what I've received from the professors at Clarion University, I would not have the job that I have now. Thank you for my education, which opened the door to my dream job. This is more important than any accreditation that we could possibly receive from an external agency.
Absolutely.
It actually says it all right there. We're preparing people for what they need to do, what they want to do, and it's a good program, and we're getting, you know, I'm sure you're going to get more of those as time comes. Absolutely. Well, I have questions here, and we again remind you, if you have a question, give it to, sit down at the computer, info@clarion.edu, and it will be passed along to us. So question number 1 tonight, why a school and not a college of education? Whoever wants to handle that.
I'd be happy to start off on that. It's not necessarily that it's a matter of semantics, because I understand that's a very important designation. Again, I think what people need to realize who have asked this question already, this isn't the first time that I've fielded this or heard this, is that we originally had a College of Education and Human Services, which had 5 significant disciplines wrapped within that, including speech pathology, library science, health education, library science, sorry, I already mentioned that, education, and special education. And what we found as we examined that structure is that education and special education were 2 pieces of a larger pie that we probably could not give the greatest attention to as we start to develop new programs and as we understand the important linkages with content areas. So when the decision was made to have restructuring and to really look at all of our college units, not just education, but look at all these units, there was the realization that we can build greater connections for our students between content areas, education, and special education if we actually brought them together within one college. And so, again, I'm not trying to argue semantics when I say we actually took a Department of Education and a Department of Special Education and we elevated them to their own school. There was not a School of Education prior to this restructuring.
Yes.
They were two departments within a larger college that included many other units that weren't directly involved with education or SPED, or special education. So as a result, we actually did provide this elevation, and we had to find a more appropriate home. And at that same time, we felt the appropriate home was connected with our content areas in social studies, sciences, arts, humanities, English, and so forth, so that we could see that synergy develop, because our future will be not only maintaining strong credentials for our teacher certification students, but also the new programs that are out there that are cutting edge, that involve more overlap or more interaction outside of just education as a pedagogical field, and more so, for example, arts and education, social studies and education. And that's really what was important to us. So for those who might argue, well, you took away the college label and made it a department. No, we took away the department label and made it a school.
Yes.
And then we maintain the department structure within that school as we move ahead. And I've worked closely with these colleagues, especially in education, for many years now. And they know me and I know them, and I'm excited about the possibilities as we start to work together more closely of what we can do for our students.
Yes. Very fine.
For me, it's about focus, to focus solely on professional teacher preparation, bringing the education faculty together under the leadership of a school director to better offer degrees, credentials, and endorsements that really lead the profession, that actually anticipate and think about what is needed ahead of it being known. I mean, that's the reason why faculty are so integral to this, is thinking ahead. And I think, for example, looking at, well, we have really extraordinarily successful programs, particularly with multiple credentialed programs like early childhood and special ed, mid-level and special ed. Those are some of our most popular majors. And I can tell you, we in meeting with superintendents and principals, we're going to continue to develop this idea of an emphasis and a priority on multiple certifications, because that's where the profession needs us to be.
Yes.
And so we are determined to, as the recent alum you've just mentioned, we're going to help people realize their dreams as a teacher and prepare them to be there so they can be successful.
From being in education for 30 years, I know that multiple certifications are very important for the flexibility that it provides for the school district to be able to place people in jobs that require more than just one field. And so that's really something that's very important today, as far as having somebody very, very employable in the job market.
Well, it helps with employment, but I can tell you, as president, I think it's what quality teaching is.
Yes.
That we want the teachers throughout their career to always be positioned to be able to do the work they love.
Yes.
And in doing that, that's a quality teacher.
Absolutely.
So it's a very exciting time in teacher education.
It is, yes. Well, this next question, you've touched on some of this. Why is it located within the College of Arts and Sciences? We've talked a little bit about
it. Todd talked a little bit about it. I think, obviously what I'll say is it is an elevation of our efforts and focus. And I think the idea of wanting to place, once again, education at the forefront of the institution, because we're so proud of it. It's one of our leading areas, and it's really a way we, as an organization, we can hold it up.
Right. Very good. The next question, and again, you've touched on this with as we talked about the National Council of Teachers on Quality. Why are there so many concerns across the country about the NCTQ ranking process?
Well, I think Todd's answered it from his perspective. I can tell you right now, as president, I believe that a professional program like education is one that, of the faculty, they should be deciding what is quality. Now, it should be a very thoughtful decision, one that is continuously undergoing rigorous review with, again, stakeholders and alumni and students. But as Todd mentioned, we already undergo many, many, many external reviews.
Yes.
And have, although I appreciate the intention of the NCTQ group, I do not support, and I am very, I don't support. I want to respect their work, but I don't agree at all with their approach. And it's a respectful disagreement, but I believe that we have a solid approach, and that we are continuing to improve our program because that's what professional programs do.
Absolutely. And especially when 1,600 schools have not even been able to be ranked, you know,
Exactly.
it's just the process.
Yeah, and I would simply add to that, there's a clear distinction, and people here at the university, our colleagues at the university understand this. There is a difference between assessment and evaluation.
Yes.
And assessment is meant to constantly improve yourselves. And as we do assessment, whether it's Department of Education or Middle States or NCATE or CAPE, yes, we are there to follow those standards, but by the same token, we need to do the assessment for ourselves so that we can constantly improve.
Yes.
And really, NCTQ was more of an evaluation as opposed to an assessment of the quality of the programs. And as you read the report, you'll find out that largely the information that they based their refusal to rank us, they based it upon a collection of syllabi.
Yes.
They did not visit us. They did not speak to our professors. They did not speak to our alumni graduates. They did not speak to administration or leadership. They did not go into the classroom to see how our students are being prepared.
Yes.
They asked for a collection of syllabi, refused to rank us, and moved on. That's not rigorous assessment.
No.
That's not even quality evaluation.
No, and that's true. Well, you mentioned searching for a director, and this question comes in asking us what qualities, credentials are you looking for in a director of the School of Education? What are you
Well, just
searching for?
probably add a few things from what Todd said. I think first and foremost is a passion for learning and education. You know, a kind of just an unyielding exuberance for quality teachers and teacher professional preparation, and wanting our students to be successful and working tirelessly to help support our faculty to be successful. I think also somebody who can relate to and fully engage all the different constituent groups you've described that you find in a professional teacher program, everything from our Pennsylvania Department of Education to, you know, really the Western Pennsylvania area of school district leaders. Large constituent groups have an interest in the quality of our teachers. So I think we want somebody who can work through all these constituents so that we continue to place Clarion at the forefront of professional teacher preparation for the state and actually this whole region of the United States.
Yes.
So.
And simply to add to that, there is a process, obviously, with all of our searches at this level that we
Yes.
go through. And so I don't want to preclude that process by suggesting other credentials other than to say that a search committee that is comprised of faculty who are basically selected by the faculty through our faculty senate process, appointments from President Whitney as well as our provost, that a search committee more than likely would be working with a consultation firm in a national search to be sure we build a pool, but it will be that search committee working with myself as dean and with the provost to establish the more detailed credentials of what we expect.
Yes.
But that's where we get the input from our faculty and our colleagues within that school to be sure that we cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and be sure that in addition to the passion, that the appropriate credentials, both minimum requirements as well as preferential requirements or preferential ideas, are set forth. And all of that will be made public as the advertisement comes out, as we begin a national search to see who would apply and who we can recruit to possibly be that next director.
I'm so excited about this position. If anybody's interested or you want to nominate somebody, my email is president@clarion.edu. And what I'll do is I'll take your email of interest and make sure it gets to human resources or to the right folks, and you can get the position description and learn more about the position. But truly, we are all ears and wanting to search far and wide for the very best director of the School of Education, because this is a valued program and we want to hit it out of the park and be extremely successful as a new school.
Yes.
Very good. And having served on a search committee a few years ago, I know that it is an involved process.
Yes.
I know that it is a worthwhile process. And when it all gets done, you find that you get the very best candidate, appropriately qualified and positioned for the job that you're looking for. And the process works. And I can say that firsthand, having served in that capacity in the past. Well, before we jump to the next question here, I said that I would take a brief commercial to talk a little bit about homecoming for the Alumni Association. And we just had, as Dr. Whitney mentioned, a very successful alumni reunion weekend. We had the Distinguished Award Banquet, we had the honoring of the class of 1964, and we had a lot of people came to campus and stayed in the suites and enjoyed all of the activities that we had. It was a very fine weekend with the weather cooperating. And now we're looking toward the homecoming events that we have with Autumn Leaf Festival. Since we've taken some of the things away from that process, we are still going to have a lot of things that are going to happen here in September. The dates are September 26th, 27th, Friday and Saturday, and we will be also at that time introducing officially the new brand and a new website, a very much changed website, and so that will be something that people who, if you haven't gotten on the web for a while, you need to look at that, and there'll be a lot of changes and a lot of things that will be very different. We're again going to have our homecoming headquarters at the Holiday Inn on Friday night. We'll have our tent reception in the chapel parking lot on Saturday, as we've always had. We'll be running the shuttle bus again from Clarion University down to Memorial Stadium, and that'll be looping around all afternoon, so you don't even have to worry about getting there. We'll provide transportation for you. And of course, we have Eagle End Zone at the game. We welcome all alumni and friends to come and stop and take part in things there. And then stay tuned. We're looking at whether or not we're going to have a Saturday evening event. That's still in the planning stages. The Engagement Committee of the Alumni Association will be meeting starting, in fact, later this week. We'll be beginning to talk about that. So how quickly the time flies. Before we know it, it'll be the end of September, and we'll be right there. So, all right, we go back to our questions, and I see one here that says, what is enrollment looking like for education for this fall? So how are we doing with our enrollment?
Well, I can say at this point we look like we will be down a little bit. We're looking at about 40 fewer students in our ed program this fall over last fall. I can tell you that's quite a bit less of a decline than we've had in several years, and I think it's absolutely due to, so in a way, I wish we had a growth year for education, but we don't anticipate one. Although we're still taking applications. If you're interested, come on down. We'll work with you. If you have a passion to be a teacher, we have a passion to help you. But I think the thing I want to tell everybody is I believe we're now leveling out. That, for several years we've had deep declines in enrollment in education. People have been choosing other areas of study. I think we're going to see people return back to an interest in education. I think as the area becomes economically more stable, as more positions come open, as quite frankly, and as I mentioned with our Rhodes Scholar Tour, as we get better at offering credentials and combinations of credentials that resonate with prospective students and also the employers, the folks who hire our teachers, that's going to rebuild our enrollment. So I'm very optimistic that although we may have a slight decline for 2014, that we will see a definite uptick in 2015.
Yes. And I know that there have been many retirements in school districts that I have contacts with and so on, and so I think some of the employment opportunities that maybe were not there are beginning to become available again. So things are turning around in that respect too. There are opportunities that were not there a few years ago, so more and more people now are going to be needed in the field of
Yes.
teacher education.
I think the key here is that we have to be very prepared and forward-looking in the credentials, endorsements, and degrees that we recommend to our students.
Yes.
And how we prepare them with extensive field work, with really from the first semester on, having students, whether they have an initial interest or they're ed majors or candidates, that they are in school settings, that they can really get hands-on experiences to test that passion and drive they think they have for working with children and cultivate and develop it.
Yes.
That's going to be key.
Yes.
And just to add to that, it's been an interesting change in culture that I've seen here over the 16 years that I've been as a professor, and that in secondary ed social studies, where I had a lot of students who were preparing to become high school social studies teachers, that so many of them had the mindset of when I graduate, I want to go back home and I want to teach in my local high school. And that's always difficult because then you're waiting for that one social studies teacher to retire in order to open that position. What I've seen more recently, and what I've seen, for example, the student whose article or story I read going to Virginia, we have quite quality programs that are preparing our students to
Yes.
teach in any state in this country.
Yes.
And as a result, I've seen this culture change over the past few years where students are actually becoming more open to the notion of why not Maryland, why not Virginia, why not New York State? Yes, my first priority is to always hope that we can fill those roles here in Pennsylvania
Yes.
and to serve our Commonwealth. That's what we do as an institution. It's one of
Yes.
our primary constituents, is what we do for the betterment of our Commonwealth. But when the opportunities do lie elsewhere, we got to be prepared to
Yes.
advise our students and help our students achieve that.
Yes.
And that comes back to degrees, credentials. What do our employers want nationwide?
Yes.
What do we need in the Commonwealth? And being sure that our students are best positioned to fill all of those gaps. That's what's exciting about this right now in terms of the restructuring, because I can see new programs and credentials as I work with my colleagues in education, special education, and in traditional content disciplines.
Right. And Pennsylvania has always been known for preparing good teachers, and as a result, there are reciprocity agreements between the states for certification. So a person graduating and getting a teaching certificate in Pennsylvania means that they can also go to Virginia and Maryland and New Jersey and New York and other places and have those credentials evaluated and receive teaching credentials for those states.
Yes.
So it is something that is it has been for years that Pennsylvania is known for the quality that teachers the teachers that graduate from Pennsylvania schools are available and can teach anywhere. So there are jobs if people are willing to leave sometimes. But I know what you're saying because I used to have a lot of people coming back and wanting jobs at the school district where I was, and they, as you say, we have one French teacher, or we have one physics teacher in the high school or whatever, and yeah, that job may be up in several years, but
Yes.
you need to broaden your horizons, as I would talk to the people.
Exactly.
Well, this, I guess, relates a little bit to your Rhodes Scholar trip here. How are you working with school districts to identify the traits they are looking for when they hire new teachers?
I think absolutely the Rhodes Scholar Tour is a good example of leaving the college on the hill and going out into the field and sitting down with people and talking candidly and clearly about what their challenges were and what quality teachers look like and can do, and just very much we just placed ourselves there and said, how can we help you? And it was a set of candid conversations over 3 days, which are going to be really helpful. And that's not the only, that's just one example. But through the new director of the School of Education, and our department chairs and our faculty, there are ongoing discussions and dialogues with the districts that we work with. And we work with, across all of Western Pennsylvania, where we place students in a variety of educational efforts. And so there's a continuous dialogue that goes on, and so that we can always be clear about, that we're willing to change to be most relevant to the profession.
Yes, absolutely.
And I guess what I would say is, if there is an endorsement, a credential, or a degree that you think we should be offering, and you don't see it, president@clarion.edu, and I'll make sure it goes to this guy right here, because we want to, not to say that because you suggest it that we can do it, but by suggesting things and bringing things to our attention, we have ways to explore them, to look at them and evaluate them. And certainly where we see themes and where we see unmet demands or needs in the profession, we want to step up. And we want to continue to have that preeminent position in teacher preparation.
Right. And again, this relates to things that we have been talking about here. What are the job prospects for recent graduates in education? So.
Actually, the job prospects are excellent right now.
Yes.
Again, seeing that change in culture among our students where they realize that both in, but importantly outside of Pennsylvania, there are opportunities. Our students are beginning to explore those, and that's very exciting. The note that I read for you this evening was one of 3 that I've received in the past week of students who have landed jobs. I know another one was in Kansas, in Liberal, Kansas. I forget where the third one was, but it's exciting when you have students, first of all, have these opportunities both inside Pennsylvania and outside Pennsylvania. And personally and professionally, it's more exciting when they think about writing you back here at the university to say you made the difference.
Yes.
So the prospects are there. Again, it's all about finding the right credentials, but at the same time, just being aware that sometimes those opportunities lie outside our natural comfort boundaries. And I often tell my students, and I think it's sometimes a mentality that we as faculty need to share with our students, I mean, we as faculty oftentimes come from many different backgrounds. We come from many different geographic areas. So it's not unusual for us as college faculty to think about, well, I came from Virginia, I took a job in Pennsylvania. That was easy for me. But for our students who have such close ties to their family, and our students that still traditionally come within that 2-hour driving radius and have not had a chance to explore, when you graduate Clarion University, you not only have one of the best teaching credentials in the country, okay, as David just pointed out, one of the best teaching credentials that's recognized in virtually every state throughout the United States. But you also typically are a 22, 23-year-old young man, young woman who has not made so many life decisions yet that you are tied to a geographic area, that you actually do have an opportunity to explore before you buy that first house and have the mortgage, before you perhaps start a family and you have more geographic ties, that this is the perfect opportunity to pursue this degree, pursue this credential, know that it's a quality credential, and know that there are opportunities not only in the country. We have been placing students, even one in England. So there are opportunities out there to explore, and I'm excited that my colleagues are sharing more of their own experiences to help our students as they graduate understand that while the Commonwealth is always home, and you can always come back home, that there are opportunities nationwide, and they need us. They need our students, and our students can fit that bill. So right now it is exciting, and yes, there are opportunities.
Yes.
It is not a field where students or parents of students need to shy away and say, well, there's a decline. Wherever there's a decline, that means there's an uptick somewhere else in
Yes.
terms of a need for teachers.
It's turning
We're
around.
here to identify that. We're here to help pave that way. It's not just a teacher in the classroom 3 days a week. It's a mentor helping you to find a career.
Yes.
That's what we do at Clarion.
That's what I've found, that the relationship with the professors, with the whole university is good. Working with the Eagle ambassadors, working with some of the students here and so on over the course of time, I see that connection, that real, and it's not, it's two ways. It's the professors with the students, it's the students with the professors. They really have a great experience and get to know on a one-to-one basis. Clarion is small enough that you have that, and that's good. I always like to say, incidentally, that there are, we mentioned 52,000 plus living alumni, but scattered all around the United States, in every county of Pennsylvania, in every state of the Union. But I also always try to mention 60 countries around the world. Clarion's influence has gone out. So yeah, we are everywhere, and I always like to mention that when I talk about alumni, because they're not just in Pennsylvania, they're not just in the United States. My goodness, what influence this university has in so many other places.
And I would quickly add that to the alumni who are watching right now, realize we're going to be reaching out to you, and I'm speaking on behalf of the College of Arts, Education, and Science, that we need the alumni, especially those who are still involved in the profession of professional education, to work with us. What opportunities in terms of mentorship could you help to provide our students? What opportunities or doorways can you help to open for our new teacher certification students? And so realize that some of you will hear from us directly. You'll hear from Mr. Pulley, you'll hear from myself, you'll hear from our colleagues within the college, within the school, so that this can truly be a team effort. It's not just leadership, faculty, and students, it's alumni as well. And you still have vital services that you could provide and relationships with our students that we can't do, because you are out there walking that walk right now, and so we need that assistance.
Right. Here is a very interesting question for you, Dr. Pfanstiel. It says, Dr. Pfanstiel, you have seen some of the scariest sights on this campus. How has this prepared you to become Dean of the College of Arts, Education, and Sciences? And for those who don't know, Dr. Pfanstiel has looked at some of our buildings and has found some interesting things out there over the course of time. You need to hear one of his presentations. So, but that question has come in, so I forward it on to you.
Fair enough to ask.
If you don't know, he's a Ghostbuster.
Okay.
So, and he works wonderfully with our students in the History Club.
Absolutely.
Every
Yes.
year to do a series of ghost talks are ghost tours on the ghosts of Clarion campus, and actually you've gone now into other buildings and
Yes.
areas of the state
Yes.
to do that. So just in case you didn't know, we have our own Ghostbuster here. So I think, is that probably where that question comes from?
It's not identified on
Yeah,
here when they send it on to me, but
yeah, how does being a Ghostbuster
yeah, qualify. Right.
Well, very seldom am I stumped when I'm speaking. But I guess I might be stumped for the first time. As a matter of fact, when we finish our presentation this evening, I'm immediately going over to Hart Chapel. Come on out and join us. Going over to Hart Chapel. If you're in the area, I'm giving a presentation this evening to a student group that's visiting us here for the summer, and they asked me to give a ghost presentation. Yes. Everyone's welcome. 8:30 this evening. Please come on out. Yes. All joking aside, what I think has prepared me more than ghost busting is that I have worked with pleasure and mutual respect with all of my colleagues, not just in the College of Arts and Sciences, but in the Department of Education and the Department of Special Education. And it's through that mutual respect that I think we will move forward. I know we've gone through challenges over the past few years. I know we've gone through trying times. And I think when the provost approached me after a nationwide search to become dean and realizing that this college structure was going to be developed, that I immediately said yes, because I knew that through the mutual respect and hard work of my colleagues and myself, for me over the past 16 years, that this is the right team that can pull these disciplines forward and that can continue to help our students. And so unlike other monumental decisions in a person's life where I might wake up the next morning and said, oh my gosh, what did I say yes to? I can honestly say that every day since January, early January, when the provost offered me the position, that I have been waiting and biting at the bit, so to speak, and I cannot wait to lead my colleagues and to be part of the institution in this way. Going to be very difficult to step out of the classroom. Sadly, I won't be teaching anymore, but that's how impassioned I am about working with my colleagues for what's best for our students, that having that trade-off is something that really does prepare me and excite me.
Yes.
I'll still do the ghost talks, though.
That's great.
That's still
Yes.
happening.
And you did a great one for the alumni reunion
Absolutely.
weekend. That was good. I slipped into the chapel and heard part of that, and that was very fine. I'm told we have time for one more question. We have about 8 minutes to go. And so, and Dr. Whitney, this comes to you. And the person has said, Karen, the new 4-year BSN program starts this fall. Do you have an update on the enrollment for that program? And maybe the doctorate also you might want to talk about.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, very excited. I mean, we have really become at Clarion University a go-to place for health professions. And we offer the most comprehensive ladder of credentials in the nursing profession an institution can offer. I think the thing that we're doing new this fall is offering a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, a traditional on-ground face-to-face program here at the Clarion campus. Now, historically, our courses have occurred on ground at the Venango campus, or they've been online. So what's exciting here is, and our very first cohort was to be 30 students, and I can tell you we're fully subscribed for the fall. We have 30 students and a wait list for this fall. Couldn't be more thrilled. They're excited. The nursing faculty have been incredible. They have been so strong and hardworking in organizing this. It's been an excellent collaboration across many disciplines to bring the nursing program to this campus, and couldn't be more happy about it. I think also the big thing that's happened, and it really, again, to any professional program like nursing, the idea of being able to offer your profession's highest credential, the terminal degree, a doctorate, is an incredible indicator of quality. And we were just recently approved in the spring to offer a doctorate in nursing practice, which will be launched summer 2015. And it is for working professionals who are mid-career or later, who already have a master's degree and want to go to that terminal, final, ultimate level and credential. And that's very exciting as well. That program, by the way, is also in partnership with the nursing program in Edinburgh.
Yes.
Well, we are not quite out of time. 6 minutes, according to my clock that's on here.
But can I make a pitch?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Scholarships.
Yes.
If anybody really believes and cares about quality teachers and wants us to help rebuild the enrollment in the School of Education, our students need and deserve scholarships. President at clarion.edu. You're interested in a scholarship? I'll buy you a cup of coffee and we'll talk about it. Okay, David.
There are many scholarships that are offered by the foundation. Over 800 were awarded this past year. but they are very, very important. As you know, the state at one time paid the majority of the cost for student education.
Right.
It has now flip-flopped to the extent that the state pays only a small percentage, and of course the funding has been level the past several years, so those scholarships are more important than ever for the students to have something to help them along. And just as our alumni has been helped along by either the state support or scholarships that they receive, we hope that they will give back and give something to the future generations that are coming down the road. We encourage you to, again, keep in touch with Clarion. I know occasionally I'll run into somebody who has, for whatever reason, dropped off the mailing list, and when that happens, I try to get them back on. But our publication of Clarion and Beyond, and of course this particular issue, we highlighted the School of Education, and this is a very good way to keep up with the classes. We will again, of course, next spring have our class or our reunion weekend again, and we'll plan some new things. We'll try to make it better than it was this year, and we'll get suggestions. If you attended, tell us what you liked, tell us what you didn't like. And so we will hopefully have more people next year come back and see what wonderful changes have been made in this institute. One more question. I'm going to, my helpers here are telling me, and I do have one more question here that came up.
Okay.
Dr. Whitney, I'm sure being president is a 24/7 type of job. What's on your playlist? What helps you unwind whenever you go home at night?
Well, I mean, having a very supportive partner, Peggy Apple, it's always good when you go home and somebody, also works in higher ed and they can kind of understand, the day you've had. But, I think really, and what everyone knows, it's the first dog, Claire. I mean, she's a Lhasa Apso that we got several years ago from the Humane Society, and nothing says loving when you come to the door and you get barked at like, you're the best thing since sliced bread. So I'd say Peggy and Claire, they are my rock.
That's great. Yes. That's great. Well, we have, of course, we see the dog. We see the first dog.
Claire's very serious. She's at every event.
Yes.
I took her to alumni weekend.
Yes, she was there.
And all of the alums loved her, and kids loved her.
Yes.
And it took her 3 or 4 days to recuperate. She had so much fun. So
yeah, I saw it with Ernie the Eagle, our mascot, and they had ice cream for the kids, and we had a ventriloquist there, and it was quite a scene. But Claire was there with you also.
Fully present, absolutely.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, we again thank you so much for being part of this evening. And until Dr. Karen Whitney and Dean Dr. Todd Pfanstiel, it's great, and I know you're looking forward to July 1 officially, but really you're into the thick of things right now. Yes. So you are, and if you get a chance, do come to one of your presentations because they are very good and very worthwhile. We will have another conversation with the President sometime in the fall. We haven't set an official date yet, so watch the website and there'll be announcements about it as we come along, and we'll be trying to have topics of interest to you. So if you have a topic suggestion, send that to the President, send that to get on the website and use the email that way. Laura King, the Alumni Director, send information to us or give us a call, and we will be glad to hear what would be of interest to you. So, once again, thank you all for participating, and it's been a wonderful evening. We've learned a lot about a lot of things with the School of Education. I can see only bright things ahead for us all. This is a great time to be at Clarion, and I'm very pleased and happy to be president at this time because I have really over the past 6 years that I've been on the board and the past year that I've been president, 1 more year to go, and then I have 1 more year after that on the board, so I am happy to be here at this time. There's a lot of things that are happening and a lot of good things that are happening here. This is so different from the time I was here back in the 1960s. It is so changed, but it is just going forward and getting better every day. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Good night.